You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
My name is Rob. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode number 898. So glad to be with you. So glad that you are with us. Appreciate it very much. Excited to be here. It's good times.
I'm excited to be here as well. In fact, I just wanted to say that I'll also be excited to be at the AirWorks Conference next week in Dallas, Texas, although I will not be staying beyond Halloween, as that is a good, fun tradition for my wife and I. But I do want to say thank you very much to DJI for sending us out there to do a couple podcasts on what's going on. There's big news coming out of AirWorks next week, and we will be there covering it live for you on Media Day, which is Monday of next week. So we may be interrupting one of these episodes that are numbered for a bonus show from the AirWorks, so just letting you know. But we're really excited for that. I'm also really excited to get more info on the Phantom 4 Pro RTK. So, all right, let's talk about the Part 107 recency exam. If you haven't taken your recency exam yet, well, we're steadily going over questions to help you be better prepared. If you want to go through all of the questions, you can check them out for $1. Just go to droneu.education. All right, Rob, you have received authorization. Wait, you already answered one of these questions. Ha, oopsie.
Oop, don't ask it again. I might get it wrong.
What are the requirements for operating an SUAS in Class Charlie airspace? Now, this is really funny because the FCC has come out and said that the answer is wrong, but, you know, whatever. We're answering the test here. Okay. The answer choices are, I'll just rephrase the question and let you go for it. What are the requirements for operating a drone in Class C airspace? ATC authorization and visual observer, two-way radio communications and visual observer, two-way radio communications and transponder with altitude reporting capabilities.
Oh, that one's easy.
Oh yeah, what is it? Wait. Before you say anything, one of the things that I teach in my classes, I'm like, typically if you don't know the answer, go for the longest answer. And they're like, huh? And then they thought about it. I'm like, well, the longest answers always have the most detail. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, just like the FBI, right? Specificity. If there's specificity, then they're telling the truth typically. And people are like, whoa. And then like I had a student from that same construction group came back and said, I thought I was going to get this question wrong, and I just answered with the longest question, and
it was
ended up being right.
That's funny. Funny. So, full disclosure, he already shared this question with me, and I got it wrong, but it's the answer is the two-way radio communications and transponder with altitude reporting capabilities.
Yep, which the FCC has openly said no drone pilot can go on an aviation frequency while they're standing on the ground. They've openly said that. So now two-way radio communications is utilizing the radio in your telephone.
Oh.
It's just a different frequency and a different name for the same thing.
But it works.
It works.
And you're legal.
Yep.
Legal's
and that's
good.
one of those questions that here's the right answer, even though it doesn't pertain. I digress.
All right.
Today's question, again, brought to you by our friends at the Drone U community. Sign up today or check out our drone mapping class, an in-person class that teaches you soup to nuts, 0 to 1, everything you need to know to do drone mapping well and consistently. Check it out today, bit.ly/Austin Mapping to come to our almost sold out class of mapping.
Hello guys, this is Joe, Skytrack UAV, Omaha, Nebraska. Hey, quick question. I was thinking, I've got several kids. I've got a 107, and there's definitely advantages to having a visual observer, even though it's not necessarily required. Question to you, 16 is the minimum age to have a remote pilot certificate. What about a VO? Does a VO have to be 16, or can that person be under that age? You just basically need somebody that's tall enough and can see the bird in the air. Just, what's your thoughts? Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks again, Joe. Appreciate all the questions that you're sending in. And don't forget, Joe went to askdroneu.com to send his question in, which he's been doing a lot of, which we very much appreciate. Intuitively, it would seem to me that it doesn't matter. If you've got some... Now, on the other hand, you've got to have somebody who And so I could see why it would matter. You've got to have somebody who would know what to do if something comes up, somebody with a little bit of experience in life, et cetera, et cetera. But I just don't know that a 16-year-old is going to be any better than a 15-year-old in doing something like that. But what you're saying is you think it needs to be a 16-year-old to be a legit VO.
Okay, so the law geek in me, the son of the lawyer, says the VO has to meet the same crew requirements that any FAA certified remote pilot would have to meet. And I believe that is true based on the summary right there. That being said, could you get in trouble for a VO being underage? This is where it comes down to, Ted has come on the show. Ted is our certified flight instructor here at Drone U. And Ted has come on the show and he has openly been like, guys, when I go to an investigation, I've got a checklist and I check the box yes or check the box no. So it makes me wonder if on the checklist it says, was the VO 16 years of age or more?
Probably not.
It probably doesn't say that.
Probably not.
I think the investigator too would be like, was the VO able to help identify the bird? And if there's an investigator on scene, I guess the answer would be no.
I think perhaps the only VO related question would be, was there a VO?
Well, that's the
Right?
thing. I mean, that would definitely be on there because was there a visual observer helping out the pilot? But then again, could the next question be, did the visual observer meet the crew requirements? Because the crew requirements very clearly say, your blood alcohol level 0.04 when you haven't drank the last 8 hours, you're 16 years or more, you have no health issue that would inhibit your ability to fly or make decisions. So as long as they met all those requirements of crew resource management, I mean, hey, I don't really see why you'd have a problem. As an investigator, I would say, are you able to clearly communicate with this person? Does he understand the difference between your left and right and drone left and right?
Exactly.
Are you able to communicate your position in a way that works for both of you? Gosh, I want to say there was a guy I met at a trade show a long time ago, and I can see his face right now. I can't remember his name. And he was like, when it comes to that, because we did a podcast a long time ago on what you and your VO should know or how you should set them up or something like that. And he's like, I really love that you talk about that you and the VO should be on the same plane of communication.
Sure.
Are you talking there's an obstacle drone left or drone right, or is there an obstacle pilot right or pilot left? Where are planes and obstacles? Did you measure the MoCA and tell the VO what the MoCA was so you guys both know what minimum clearance altitude has to be? You know what I mean? These are all really, really solid points. And if you can't communicate clearly with your visual observer, then how are they able to fulfill the needs of a visual observer? So, I mean, if you can communicate clearly with your son, maybe it's a good idea. Now, does he need a remote pilot certificate to be a visual observer? No, he does not. So
this is interesting. It came up in here, and this is not the summary. This is the full
630
discussion,
pages,
right?
Yeah.
And so the FAA disagrees. Somebody brought this up, that a driver's license should be a prerequisite to serving as a visual observer, as discussed in blah, blah, blah. 13% of the population age 16 or older does not hold a state-issued driver's license. So they don't directly say that you don't have to be 16, but they are saying we disagree that you need a driver's license, which typically means you are 16 years old. So that was interesting. When you bring up the investigative perspective on it, it makes me think of would your visual observer do well? Let's say it's a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old. Would they do well in an interview with the investigator?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think I know my son would do great, but I know some of his friends that I don't think I'd want in front of the investigator. So I think it's a situation where you're just opening yourself up a bit more to scrutiny if you don't use somebody who is quote unquote of age. But if it's somebody that you have a lot of faith in and they're sharp, and they get everything that you're talking about, and you do a good plan before the flight, and they're on board, and they understand all the terminology like Paul was alluding to, I think you'd probably be fine.
Again, at the end of the day, if you can communicate well with this person, you have a systematic means of working with them, you you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I think you bring up a very good question, Rob, is your 16-year-old have the mental capacity to follow those systems and do things thoroughly? Like, for example, Jake, your son. I would trust him to be a VO. Totally.
Sure.
Our old intern? No. And he's much older. So I'm not going to name that guy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's a very valid question.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes it's not about age.
But the legal answer is they have to meet the crew requirements as anyone else would. So they technically have to be 16.
Well, then we should end on that.
On that bombshell, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
My name is Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.